Quarantine broke my brain. Like I can't. I don't know. So 2021 onward, I realized that like I can't socialize the way I could have before.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I was never like a social butterfly, but it used to be easier to like go to like a social thing and just talk to people. Now I can only do if it's like one on one. And
Wow.
even then I need a way in. So if you had like a Blink 182 shirt, I'd be like, oh cool, like nice shirt. What's your favorite song? But if it wasn't that and like I don't know. I don't know what I do. And I haven't redeveloped that since.
That's wild. Because I'm the exact opposite.
Oh shit, dog.
Yeah, I'm literally the exact opposite. That was me my entire life.
Yeah.
Except I never felt like I had an in. So I'm like the type of person that doesn't talk unless I'm talked to, and I don't feel like I have anything valuable to give,
Yeah.
so I don't talk. But if anybody talks to me, I have no problem talking. Like
Yeah.
that was me most of my life. And then I loved COVID. Like I don't even know if you can say that, but I loved that period of life.
You like staying in all the time?
I loved it.
I hated it, dog.
I thrived so much.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I watched like 30 anime series.
Damn.
I played like Minecraft for days.
Damn.
It was so fun. And I got paid to do it.
Yeah? Oh yeah, we all did.
Yeah, we all did, dude.
Well, you did too. I remember you didn't because
Yeah.
of things.
No, I did. I got paid.
But you said like,
It's just doubled. When you're married, it's doubled.
but you said like, that's why you had to like find a new job because you weren't getting paid.
It depends on what job I had during this. I remember I quit my job
Yeah.
because I felt unsafe.
Okay. I remember you quitting, but I remember that part.
I quit my job because I felt unsafe because we were like a month into the pandemic and people weren't yet to understand the like scale.
That's crazy.
And people were showing up, coughing and obviously sick. And I was just like, I feel so unsafe right now.
Yeah.
So I quit. I was like, I can't do this.
But you still got paid?
Well, yeah, when you went on welfare, it was substantially
Yeah.
sizable.
But I thought you couldn't do that if you quit your job.
You can if you quit for reasons being of the pandemic.
Oh shit.
Yep.
Dog.
So you list that on unemployment.
So you were getting paid then?
I was getting paid.
That's
bro.
crazy.
I was making more than I was working 40 hours,
Same.
which was mind blowing. I was working myself so much for what I was getting paid. I was getting paid nothing, and I was doing so much than I was getting paid.
Yeah.
And when I got on unemployment, it was like, this is so much money. What am I supposed to do with this? For real. So I got all my debt paid off. I was like, I'll just put this towards credit cards.
Yeah.
And well, now I still have debt because
Yeah?
yeah.
Thought you paid it off.
Well, post pandemic, when I had to move back home, I had to pay a car payment. You know, you get divorced, that costs money.
Oh fuck, man.
You know, a lot of shit happens when you're a single man in his late 20s that you now have to pay for. And then and then I started going to therapy, and my therapy is not cheap. I still go to therapy, so it's like that stuff is not cheap. Medication not cheap. You just have more responsibilities that are no longer shared. They're just like you.
Damn.
So
Bro,
yeah, dude, I thrived during the pandemic,
I hated it.
and then after, because as the pandemic ended, so did my life. As it was.
Yeah.
And then you start from zero. So when you start going to therapy at zero, there's no like pushback, like in your mind. You're not like fighting some narrative that you think they're constructing against you, because they're just giving you questions, and then as you answer those questions, you're just answering yourself, and you're just like, oh, wow, like this is what my situation looks like, or this is who I am. Like you just start to learn so much about like who you are as a person.
What if you come in asking about a particular thing?
Yeah. So I've done that plenty of times where I'll go into my sessions and I'll be like, so what's the point of getting married if in 40 years she can just decide to divorce me?
Okay.
Or recently I was like, so what do you think about transgenderism? Like, I'm starting to like think of things in my head that I'm not doing intentionally.
Yeah.
And I'll just be like, is this valid? Like, why am I thinking this way? Am I like I'm scared, first of all, because it's like I don't want to have those thoughts.
Yeah.
And they don't give you the answer. They just ask you a question. And that question is like the answer. Yeah. You said you've gone to therapy, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'd be down, but I can't afford it.
I understand. But
Because the misconception I think people have is that like you're laying on the thing,
Yep.
right? On the couch.
Yep.
They have the clipboard.
Yep.
And you tell them whatever it is that's bothering you,
Yeah.
and they go, "Oh, here's the problem," and they like
No.
fix it for that's a misconception.
That's like Hollywood
Yeah,
therapist.
yeah. So that's not what happened.
No, my therapist has never done that before. What he has done that's close to that is like challenge me.
Mm,
I mean, like less than 5 times he's ever done that in the 3.5 years that I've been seeing him.
okay.
And he'll just be like, because he has like super confidence in me, like he'll just be like, like I challenge you to just like go in there tomorrow and believe that that conversation is gonna go well. It's like he's not challenging me to do anything wild, like make 40K and invest it in this stock. Like, you know what I mean? He's just challenging me to be a human. So then I'll be like, it's kind of fucking motivating when you have somebody who's like, you know what, dude? Like I hear you audibly. Like this is what you're thinking in your head. Oftentimes when you just audibly talk about what sits in your head,
Mm,
you don't realize how fucking heavy that shit was until you speak it, and then it becomes like tangible, and then it becomes like sensible, and then it no longer becomes this thing that like weighs down in your head, but becomes this thing that you can navigate through, navigate around, understand better. And so it's like next day, it's like this conversation is going to go great. There's literally no reason for it to be. So I'll go and have the conversation, and I'll find myself with this like newfounded confidence. And it's like, holy shit, this person isn't scary. I have total control over like how I can come off or confidence or whatever.
right.
In fact, it was always funny to me, like the first or maybe it was the second therapy session I ever had. It was so funny to me. It still is to this day. My therapist talked for like maybe like 5 minutes total, right? And our sessions are 45 minutes long.
Yeah.
And at the end of him talking, he goes, I know I just talked so much and I'm so sorry,
Yeah.
but does that make sense? And I'll be like, bro, this is the first line you've spoken, and it was like less than 5 minutes. I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean that took forever? And I'm like, are you tired? Like, he's just like, oh, man, I just talked so much. I'm like, bro, I've been talking. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So that always was like, shocked me. I was like, whoa, I thought therapy was going to be much different than this.
It does sound different.
But there are forms of therapy that are kind of like that. There are types of therapy I think you can go to that are like practices, like their approach is still therapy, but it's via, like, for example, art therapy is a physical therapy that you're literally drawing like your emotions or whatever, right?
Mm,
There's CBT, cognitive behavior therapy.
mm,
So there's so many different forms of therapy. That's why it's even hard to find out what you need. Oftentimes, like a psychologist should be able to recommend like who you need to see based on your diagnoses.
mm,
But also, oftentimes too, when you're looking for a therapist, they'll have listed under their interests or their like fields of like expertise. They'll be like, oh yeah, I've got 20 years experiencing with people who have PTSD from war, or I have 10 years experiences with people who have severe depression, bipolar, and schizophrenia. So like, because even with the different combinations of mental illness, you get different experiences. So you can't just say because you have this is how I need to treat you. Every combination is like a different possibility. So it's super important that you find like you're talking to a professional who's going to understand your situation, because they're going to be trying to approach it in a way that's not beneficial to you.
right.
But yeah, it's like my therapist just has learned what kind of person I am, and is like just like knows what kind of questions to ask to get me thinking.
Okay, so I'm gonna use an example. So you hated baseball, right?
Yeah, I
So
did.
if you go in there and like you talk about the baseball thing and you want to know like why you were so anxious, how would they break that down? Or how would they get you to work through that?
Ooh, this is gonna sound so simple, but it is. The first question he'd ask, he'd be like, "So what were you anxious about?"
Yeah, right.
And so I would answer, see, because I'm literally going to solve this issue right here. I would answer, well, the ball is too fast. The ball was fast and I didn't want to get hit.
Mm,
So what would have happened if you got hit? And then I'd be like, well, my dad would be mad at me. Ding. Wait, why would your dad
mm,
be mad at you? Well, because he always got mad when I would flinch because I wasn't brave enough.
right.
Suddenly you're getting deeper and deeper.
Dang.
Now you're realizing that a lot of other scenarios that happened throughout my childhood stemmed from me not being man enough, me not being brave enough,
Not rising to the
not
occasion.
rising to the occasion. You go up there, son, and you hit that ball out the park. You know what I mean? 7-year-old me is like, that thing's going like 30 miles per hour at me. I'm not, you expect me to hit that in like 1 second? Like, how am I supposed to do that?
Right.
It didn't come intuitively to me.
Yeah.
What did come intuitively to me? Music,
Mm.
wanting to play music, art.
Yeah.
I felt so embarrassed that I liked art. So embarrassed because not a lot of my guy friends liked art.
Right.
It's like a girl thing. Like the girls did art.
Interesting. Okay.
I mean, we knew some guys like the artsy guys when I was growing up as a kid. They drew well, like they
Like anime
drew,
shit.
yeah, anime shit, or like they drew like skulls and bones, like fuck yeah, you know what I mean, like those biker T-shirts.
Yeah.
So the kind of artist you were was a very masculine type of artist. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to paint abstract. I was obsessed with abstract in the 2000s.
Interesting.
I loved it. The idea of being artsy, the way artsy people looked, I loved that look.
So your thing was more tasteful.
I don't know if that's what you call it, but that's not what we do as men. We, at least my family, some families might have, dude, dads who are like that. They're like, fuck yeah, Mozart was an artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My parents don't give a fuck who Mozart is. Mozart is. They know who Oscar De La Hoya is. You know what I mean? Now that memory of like fucking, being terrified playing baseball isn't so heavy on me anymore because I understand it now. It's like, damn. And that same fear is no longer instilled in me, like, as my everyday adult. It was throughout my 20s every fucking day, unless I was in a setting that I could totally control. So, like, if I'm hosting something or if I'm in my realm of expertise, like, it's like I don't see people. I could just be like friendly or whatever. But outside of that, it's just absolutely terrifying. I can only do good one on one. If there was two more people, I would just like be so different.
That's crazy.
Dude, you learn a lot about yourself in therapy, man. I'm telling you,
I've heard.
because that lets, like, learning this shit is, it makes what you can accomplish right now look so achievable. It no longer seems impossible. Because I used to be like, I'm an anxious person. Like, oh, I don't want to look at the finances. Like, you look at the finances. Because if I look at it, I'm going to go crazy and I'm going to be depressed and blah, 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 blah. It's like, and so I became what? You become codependent. And then all throughout my 20s, I'm not doing things that 20-year-olds should do.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And as a 27-year-old going through therapy, I got to make calls now on my own. I have to call the bank. I have to call the doctor. I have to do this. No one's going to do it for me. Not my mom. But as men, we can be raised in a very patriarchal way where we believe like it's their responsibility. So you believe that certain responsibilities are for women, certain are for men
Right.
because of gender roles. So when I learned like the source of those anxieties, and for me, that's understanding how I grew up formed my brain.
Hmm.
Like once you understand that a brain from age 0 to 23 or 25, whatever it
I think 25.
is so malleable and so easily influenced by the right amount of environmental circumstances,
Yeah.
then you feel like it's it's crazy because it's like trauma does shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, trauma literally makes your brain not develop certain areas like it should.
Dang.
So when I learned about this, and I'm like, oh wow. So that's why I became completely dependent of pornography at age 10. What 10-year-old should be shown pornography?
Right.
None.
Yeah.
None. Should a 10-year-old know about vaginas and penises? Yeah. Because it's no big deal. Everybody has them.
Yeah.
But no, we create this culture of like the birds and the bees, and it's like, you know what, little Timmy? Ask 4 years later,
Right.
right? Because sex to us in public is a shameful act. It's something you do in private.
Yeah.
It's not normal, even though everybody's doing it. It's not normal to talk about it.
Right.
So even that affects how a brain is formed. So once you learn that, then you begin to have more empathy for like yourself, and you begin to realize that like you as a person today regardless of the many days or months or years that you failed, you as a person right here today can literally forge every day, week, month, year, decade moving forward. So it's like I can decide, like, you know what? I can truly fucking be a different person. Like, I can truly overcome this shit. I mean, not be rid of it. Like, I'm on medication for my anxiety and for ADHD. And since being on medication for anxiety, that's like the number one thing that changed my entire life, because that physically changed my entire life, because it allowed me to feel for the first time like what it's like to have a day without anxiety and being like, whoa, normal people feel this way, like just chill. Like, dude, being chill is it's crazy. It's like, whoa, you can be chill. I thought you could only be chill when you're masturbating. Like, you know what I mean? Because that's where my mind was escaping to. It's like the way my therapist explained it to me was like, I've seen a lot of traumatic things since I was a kid throughout my teens,
Mm,
and I'm talking about like really traumatic things.
mm,
I don't think things that I've ever told anybody outside of like really intimate relationships, and that those things were scary, and those things were constant, or maybe uncommon, but still more common than should ever be.
right.
When you figure out as a young kid like how to access pornography, like you just, and it feels so good, and it's supposed to be so bad for you, and it's like I shouldn't tell anybody I'm doing this, but it's like where you can it's a place you can go that you can control. Number one,
Mm,
this is what my therapist says. It's a place you can go to control. You have the total power. You can click on who you want to see. You can click on what you want to see. Nobody can tell you otherwise. And number two, you can escape reality and experience peace. So he was able to string along with me in my life. So it's like, so when you're stressed, then it's easy to just it's fucking, escape to what you know,
right.
because that's what fixes it. And so addictions develop and deepen, and darker shit happens. Um, and like nobody becomes a drug addict overnight. You don't become a drunk overnight. Like it's a steady, gradual build.
Yeah.
You're like, you do meth for the first time, you're like, not that I've ever done meth. You do meth for the first time, you're like, whoa, that shit was good.
Yeah.
But I don't need to do it. And then like later that night, you're like, fuck. Remember when it felt like to be hella fucking good?
Yeah.
I don't want to do that again. And then so you're like, fuck it, let's do it. And then you do it again. That's twice in one day. Next thing you know, you're doing it every single fucking day. And then you're craving more. And then you're craving to be high all the time.
Mm,
My, what is the word? Co-host, co-worker, co-collective organizer. Her name is Sophia, and she's the ex-adult actress.
mm,
And she told me at her worst point in her life, she was just high all the time.
damn.
She was like, "Oh yeah, I used to smoke and be high all the time." Because when I wasn't high, like reality was so hard that like I would have panic attacks and like episodes and psychotic episodes and things like that. And it's like, wow, that happened was so easy to fall into.
Yeah.
And when you fall into something like that at such a young age as a kid, whether it be death or abuse, or they're just not taken care of well,
Right.
that just becomes all you know. That's how you do life. Life is scary. Life, I'm gonna die tomorrow. Like dude, this is kind of fucked up because not a lot of people have this experience, but I can remember many scenarios. I can remember many moments as a child. Like I'm talking like age 6, 7, 8. I can remember many days at that age being like, so I was being like, tonight might be the night I die.
No shit.
I could die. I'm so scared. And then I'd, ask my mom, like, Mom, are we going to be okay tonight? Like, are the doors locked? Like, you start asking that shit as a kid. Like, no kid should be asking that.
Right.
So then, like, as a 27, 28-year-old, I'm like, whoa, that's an anxious kid. That's not cool. Like, how did that happen? And yeah, you just begin to have empathy for yourself, which you're allowed to have. You're allowed to have empathy for yourself. And you begin to accept that like consequences happen. Like you become a drug addict and you fucking go crazy and you run down the street naked and you traumatize some other children. There's gonna be consequences to that.
Yeah.
So you begin to accept that like, you know what, you have to take responsibility and accept the consequences of where you fucked up, whether it was your fault or not. You still did it. No one else can be held accountable for what you do.
Right.
But you don't have to be imprisoned by your failures for the rest of your life because you literally have autonomy. Like you're still a part of society. Like you still can work. You still can. You still will wake up the next day. Like you're not dead.
Right.
So it's like, what are you gonna do? Are we gonna get better? Are we gonna learn more? Are we gonna start doing the things that are like super uncomfortable but are really good for you, and then they'll start to feel good for you too after a while? It's like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna do that. Like, I'm gonna do the hell out of that, even if it's hard. Like in cross country, look, I hate cross country.
Yeah.
I've told you this so many times. I hated cross country
What?
because running hurts. It hurts so much, but I kept doing it because the payoff was so fucking high. A runner's high, finishing a race, beating your own time, being actually fast, actually being able to control your body like in a way that reflects the effort you put in, and then being better than others, that shit's addicting as hell. So it's worth all of the pain you go through. Same thing with everything else in life, with your mind, with your body, your spirit. You've got to put that effort into it. You've got to beat your mind, your body into submission. And then you'll come to realize, I think sooner than later, that all that effort was worth it. It was worth disciplining yourself. It was worth forming new habits. It was worth all of the awkward moments, the conversations that felt so wrong or so opposite of what you've always believed was normal. But it was never normal. You thought it was normal because that's how we were raised to believe. That's what we were told. So, I'm never looking back. Always healing, still learning, never giving up. That's what I want